Whatever you're doing.
Is Robin here?
Robin's with us. Hey, America. Welcome to the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin. It's presented by, hold on, this isn't ultimate yet. It's going to be soon. I don't even need glasses. This is a prop. Oh, it's presented by the Eric and Rodney Show. You ever watch the show and you think, I should be on the show? Well, you can. You just have to go to our website. You go to our website, you fill out an application. We're probably going to say no, but it doesn't hurt to try. Then you're going to come on here and you're going to go, I was so good. I should be on other shows. Oh my God. Yes, you should. You should get your name out there, your message. We can do that for you. We can book you. You're too pretty to book yourself. You're very important, very special. We'll book you. You show up, talk about your shit, sell some shit. Then you go, oh my God, I was so good on that show. I was so good on this show. I should have my own show. But how will I ever get started? We can do it for you. We'll edit it, post it, hashtag it, all the things the kids do to get attention. We'll do it for you. Go to the ericandrodneyshow.com. That's all I got. Ladies and gentlemen, very special guest today. The co-founder and CEO of ClayHR, Amrinder Arora. Welcome to the show.
Welcome
to the show.
Take the banner.
Can we take down the banner?
Ooh, Rodney hates that banner. It's a little disturbing how much he hates it. So,
you know what it is? It makes me hungry. That's honest. I think anytime I see yellow, I think of McDonald's. I can't even think why.
Oh, it's everybody. I thought it was just me. I thought I was the only one making that association there.
Yeah. And then when I see the yellow and then the red up in the corner that says live, I say, man, oh man, Shevitz, it's time for
if only I had a McChicken.
Yeah, it's time for McFlurry.
If only I had room temperature mayonnaise on deep fried fake chicken. Yummy yum yums. All right. Well, listen, I know you've seen the show, and thank you very much. You're a one viewer. It's very exciting to have our one viewer on the show. It's very meta. But as you probably know, the first half hour we talk about the news because America demands our opinions on such things. And then we do the evening gown portion where we talk to you about HR. That's going to be fun. But before we get to that, though, every day in this country, some reason to celebrate some national day. Today was Slim Pickens. I will say today was National Joy Day. And I go, oh, good. We can talk about what makes us happy. But it wasn't joy. It was women named Joy. There was the name Joy, not actual joy. So I had to dig a little deeper. National Illinois Day.
I know a Joy.
That's what we picked.
What was that? Do we know a Joy?
I know a Joy.
Oh, you knew Joyce? I could have gone with that. Oh, so I don't. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on a second. Does Joyce count as Joy?
It did say that it was short for Joyce in some cases.
So I know. Yeah, I know a few people. And here's the thing, right? It looks like this is a very, very only 187 shares. Looks like it's popping off in Illinois.
No one gives a fuck about Illinois. Has anyone on this panel been to Illinois?
I've been through it.
You have? All right, Amrinder. What do you got? Do you like Chicago at all?
I like Chicago. We have our second office in Chicago, outside of Chicago. So I have to go there. And I like the city. I like the city. It's a good city.
Is it windy?
It was windy. It's always windy when I go there.
Is it actually windy? I heard it's called the Windy City, not for the actual wind, but for the winds of political change. But is that not true? Is it actually windy? I don't know.
It's just actually.
Are there political changes?
You do know how the Chicago got started, right?
A cow, right? A fire? You tell us.
No, basically what happened was a lot of people were living out there in downtown New York, and they said, "Hey, this is when originally when the Europeans came over there. They said, "Hey, I really like how expensive everything is and how much the crime is, but it's just not windy enough."
So they were like, "Let's go to Middle America. let's bring some good old fashioned crime right to the middle."
So they're just angry New Yorkers. Interesting.
Everybody in New York is in a shitty mood.
Oh, I never pieced that together. Well, okay, so I thought
that's
Illinois.
A good point.
So I was going to do a deep dive, see what Illinois has contributed to society. So naturally, I Googled what was invented there. And here's the thing. This is how dumb Americans are. We've fed this to Google so much. It thinks the question is, what did Chicago invented? That should tell you how fucking, come on. You know how many times you have to ask that question before Google thinks it's the right question? Anyway. So what was invented in Illinois? The Ferris wheel in 1893. That's not bad. Deep dish pizza, I feel, is probably an abomination. It looks more like a casserole.
Wait, Pizzeria Uno, is that at the mall?
Well, no, hold on, wrong.
I think it is.
Pizzeria Uno. Here's the thing: if a chain restaurant invents your greatest cuisine, you have issues. The brownie, though, I'll give him the brownie. The brownie is delightful, objectively speaking. I think everyone loves a good brownie. Skyscrapers in Playboy magazine. Not bad.
Well,
it's a chain. It's a chain. Pizzeria Uno is a chain. I just glanced it up.
And they invented deep dish pizza.
The
Here's
What is this here?
farmhouse.
Is this eggs in purgatory?
This is a pizza casserole
this a quiche?
masquerading.
The Palmer House that's right there in the downtown, that does, when you go there, when you visit there, they do mention their brownie, but I did not know that they invented the brownie. So they do talk about it, that you can actually buy it and get the recipe and all that.
I would imagine the greatest brownie of all time is absolutely mind-blowing because an average brownie is very good. A great brownie must be.
I've been in quest of it since I was a child.
Well, I have great news.
Happy to report I'm still journeying.
I can't tell you where in this picture it is, but it's in this picture. So if you just want to wander around.
Is it in the strip club building in the middle? What's the name of that gentleman's? That's the name of that gentleman's organization.
All right, so we've gone off to the cuisine and the inventions, but would you like to see who is from Chicago? Who have they contributed to society? Not bad. Harrison Ford, Oprah, Kanye, Barack Obama, Bill Murray. I mean, this is Hugh Hefner, John
Harold
Belushi,
Ramis,
Walt did.
Terrence Howard,
Michael Clark Duncan,
Bill Murray,
And
John
there's your friend. And Eric, there's your friend Daryl Hannah there.
Daryl Hannah. Yes, it is unbelievable. The greatest blues musician of all time, Jim Belushi. I mean, come on. Michelle Obama, Ted
Jenny
Kaczynski.
McCarthy, the authority on the vaccines.
Oh yeah, the that's right. The world's most foremost vaccine expert, Jenny McCarthy. Robin Williams, remember him? He used to be alive.
Yes.
Al Capone.
Disney, I've heard of him. He was a struggling cartoonist, I believe.
I thought Daryl Hannah was dead. Is Daryl Hannah not dead?
Who's Daryl Hannah? Oh yeah, no, she was in Slash.
Yeah,
John C. Reilly,
Pat Sajak.
Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah, the Unabomber. Not bad. You have a very good terrorist on your list.
And
Ben
Al,
Savage.
Al Capone.
Why is the middle one
Al Capone.
John Wayne Gacy? Why are they advertising this? Is not really.
Yeah,
John
serial
Wayne was a
killer that dressed
killer.
up like a clown and killed children right in the middle, right below Common, but above Hugh Hefner. Yeah, good for that. Anyway, I think this was a good celebration of Chicago here this morning. What are the odds that you have an office in Chicago? This really works out, I think.
It's crazy. I
And
thought
the
today was
Chicago
also
Bulls.
National Slime Day. Is it not?
What's that?
I thought today was the National Slime Day. Is it not?
Oh,
It
I don't
might
know. I
be.
missed that one. The National Day, see, every day is like 35 days, so I missed a lot too. I apologize. I try to pick the best out of a shitty bunch. So here we go. That's what this show is on LinkedIn. The shittiest thing in a mound of shit.
We're the only
Anyway.
show on LinkedIn. Let me ask you a question. I want to ask a serious question. Besides from Jenny Winnie and the Average Dude, which they do like what every week, I think.
Once a week, yeah.
Is there another show on here?
That does every day? I don't think so.
Or is there another show?
No, I don't think so. You know what
we
we're
are keeping LinkedIn Live alive.
Have you heard of the ClayHR Hour? That's going to be coming up next week. We're producing it. I don't know if you heard.
I did hear about that. That's exciting stuff. They're going to do a handbook live on air.
Yeah, they're gonna read the handbook. It's gonna be unbelievable. All right, let's cover the news so we can get to the evening gown portion of the show. Robin,
It's actually quite a petty news story, but I think this might be like the greatest karma that America's ever served. Now, I know it's kind of easy for us to berate service workers, particularly in fast food restaurants, but until you actually work in one, you don't understand actually how bad it could be. So there was this Chipotle worker. She was harassed by a customer, and the customer threw a bowl of food at her. So the justice that was served was the customer was sentenced to work 2 months in a fast food job. I think this is the first time the American justice system has actually worked.
yeah, because they did one of those funny things where like you did this, so now you have to do that, as opposed to just prison time. Have any of you seen the clip of this woman throwing a burrito bowl in this? Okay, well, I'm gonna pull it up. This is the kind of high production value you get on the Eric and Rodney show. Here we go. You ready? Please hold.
Angry customer who threw a burrito bowl at a Chipotle worker in Ohio received quite a unique sentence today after pleading guilty to assault. Rosemary Hain told the judge she responded the way she did because the food was disgusting and not what she wanted. The judge sentenced her to 180 days in jail, but suspended 90 of them. Here's why. He also gave her the option to get 60 days of jail credit. The judge told Hain that she would have to work 20 hours a week at a fast food restaurant for 2 months.
Do you want to walk in her shoes for 2 months and learn how people should treat people, or do you want to do your jail time?
I'd like to walk in her shoes.
Why should the city taxpayers pay for her and feed her for 90 days in jail if I can teach her a sense of empathy?
And after Hain completes her work assignment, she will have 30 days left to serve in jail. The assault victim says she is pleased with that sentence.
Oh, what do you think about that?
So she chose it. Interesting.
Yeah, she chose it. I was thinking that otherwise, if the judge were to simply give it, somebody would come up and say, "Oh, there's in the Constitution, you can't really give an unusual punishment." Which,
yeah, because that could be considered
cruel and unusual punishment.
Unusual punishment. You can't really say, "Oh, I'm going to chain you and you have to go pick after your dog because you didn't do it." So, but
Here's
the
what I
person
don't
chose it.
understand. So let me ask you this though: the judge just shows up, or they just show up and be like, "Listen, we need you to take this woman on for 2 months here. She has no idea what she's doing. We don't even know if she can work. We don't know what talent she has, but you gotta." How does that even work?
Here's the good news. So she has to go get a job, only 20 hours a week. So that's part-time, right? She has to get a job and the court has to approve it. You're never going to believe this. She hasn't found a job yet. All the fast food places she lives in Ohio. Something tells me there's a lot of fast food in Ohio. She can't seem to find a job. You're never going to believe this too. She's perennially unemployed. She's just an unemployed person in the world. So I don't know why she hasn't found one. Here's the other thing. Have you had a burrito bowl at Chipotle? I don't know how
They're very good.
They're unbelievable. How
don't you actually make it? Yeah, you make it, right?
Yes, you tell them what to put in, and for her to say disgusting. Yeah, I mean, it's her fault. if they put up a burrito bowl, it's on you.
Yeah.
Maybe she should try maybe she should try being a pitcher. I mean, that was a pretty aggressive throw, right?
That wind up. Here's the other. The first time that you're caught
Who's
on
the girl
camera,
in the middle here? Who is that? That's not her, right?
That's the girl. So the one on the right is the assault victim. But the first time you're caught on camera throwing fast food at a worker is not the first time you've thrown fast food at a worker. This is, you know what I mean? The first time you're caught on video is not the first time you've done the thing. This judge also, by the way, this isn't the first time that he's dealt with an issue like this. He had a guy that got a Happy Meal in a McDonald's drive-thru. Notice they didn't include a cookie and he started swinging. He gave that guy 90 days in jail.
Is there a cookie in a Happy Meal?
I didn't even know there was a cookie. I don't think there is a cookie. Maybe that's why he didn't get a fucking cookie. There's no cookie in the Happy Meal.
But why was he ordering a Happy Meal? He's a grown man. Isn't there like an age limit? Like I've never gone anywhere and they're like, "Sir, would you like the children's menu? What do you think? Get out of here. There's no children here. I'm a grown man. I'm hungry."
Like, Second Amendment aside, we are not responsible enough for guns. If we're going to start punching people and throwing burrito bowls, we can't be trusted with arms, for Christ's sakes. Right to bear arms. All right.
I find it funny when sometimes there's like a knife attack happens and somebody then says, "Oh, look, even the knives can." I say, "Okay, but there's a knife attack. Somebody's injured. They got their arm slashed."
Right.
26 people are not dead.
It's really hard to kill 30 people with a knife, unless they, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Well, you didn't hear about our invention we've been working on. I guess I can say it out loud. We're working on a throwing star gun. And we've been looking into.
I don't know if you tuned in the other day, but evidently it's illegal in Chicago to credit card process ninja stars, but you can buy a gun. So we're going to invent a gun that shoots ninja stars. I mean that's a perfect.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Are you going to?
I'm working on the patenting.
Yeah, we're
already working on it.
Yeah, it's been submitted to the appropriate.
We've been thinking of some terms. We've been thinking of the Rittenhouse special. That's one of the.
That's one of them.
One of the working titles, and then we were thinking about something obscure like AK.
I think you can sell it on the internet as long as you say it does not shoot ninja stars.
Right. It's like choosing the unusual punishment yourself, and then I'm like, it's not my fault.
You can shoot acorns if you want. It just shoots things.
It's ambiguous. It's very ambiguous. All right. Speaking of petty stories, are we going to do Love Actually now?
Yeah, I don't.
The movie?
It's really a petty story. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that movie's been around for 1,000 years.
We've all seen this. It's been about 20 years, I think.
Yeah, it's 20-year-old movie.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen it, it's British, right? It's a British Christmas classic. It stars a bunch of great actors, and they all kind of have their own little love quest going on during Christmas season. It's a very heartwarming story, but when we watch it now, however, there are critics saying that it might be received very differently because our society has changed a lot from when we watched it in, I think it was the early 2000s. Yep. So a lot of these love plots seem to rub us in the wrong way now. There's a lot of infidelity and cancelable plots that we just gave like a slap on the wrist in 2004.
It's Hugh Grant.
Okay, Amrinder, have you seen this movie?
I can't remember. Does it have Hugh Grant in it? It does not. Does it have Julia Roberts? So who does it have? I can't remember now.
Yeah, who is that lady beside him? Beside him?
She's a nobody. Okay, but I'll say real quick, this lady beside when they talk about a lot of fat jokes in this show, in this thing. Part of the article is like there's so many fat jokes. She is the butt of all the fat jokes. Just so you know, for context, she's the fat one. So
she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have not, this is how much I care about this fucking show. I've never seen Love Actually, but I watched it last night in preparation for this. It's a shitty movie. It's a terrible, it's not terrible, but it's not good. Like there's nothing, I didn't walk, I was looking to be offended. It never happened. I was looking for, oh my God, I get why people love this movie. That never happened. So I'm just going to walk through in the article what they said was problematic. So the movie, if you haven't seen it, is a bunch of like interconnecting stories. You don't realize how they're going to interconnect until later. And it's not some great Seinfeldian reveal. It's not The Sixth Sense. It's very light on the interconnection. One is this British guy can't get laid in England because he doesn't have an English accent. Well, he does, but so does everybody else. So he's ugly in England. He decides he's going to move to the United States and get laid due to his accent. So he shows up at this bar, a very attractive young January Jones here in the middle. From Mad Men. She wants to sleep with him. That chick, Eliza Cuthbert, whatever fuck, this guy. So they go, oh my God, you're British. I love you. You're so funny. Do you want to come back to our house? The only problem is we only have one bed and we can't afford pajamas. So we all sleep together naked. And then he gets laid. And then was like, that's just a dumb subplot in every 2000s movie, isn't it? Like, why are we offended by this? It's played for comedy. Fucking hell. It's clearly a comedic scene. Then there's this one, the guy from the fucking Walking Dead. The whole subplot here is that he has a best friend who gets married to this chick. And they go, his best friend is the only black dude in the movie. So they say it's not inclusive. Maybe, oh boy, it just seems like they're really starving for victimhood here. The whole subplot here is he's in love with her. He's the videographer. She sees the video. It's all up, it's like close-up pictures of her face. And she's like, you love me. I had no idea. And then they kiss. Is that, okay, it's not good or right, but are any of you offended by the idea of light infidelity?
No. I mean, it's just silliness. This whole thing's silly. People
Then
are offended by this. I'm offended they're offended.
I'm offended they're offended too. They're trying to break off a piece of victimhood. The story here is Laura Linney, the only American character, goes to this party. This guy's pretty hot. He's all jacked up. They go back to her house to have sex. There was a lot of nudity in this movie, much more nudity than I expected. A pleasant amount of nudity, I will say. Like, there was no reason for Laura Linney to show her boobs in this, but she did. So God bless her. Anyway, they're about to have sex. She gets a phone call. She picks it up. It turns out her brother's in a mental institution and needs to be talked down. So she talks him down. Her and this guy get back at it. He calls again, and she's like, I'm so sorry, I have to go. And then he leaves her. And at the end of the movie, she's alone on Christmas. And they go, well, what's the lesson there? I think the lesson is sometimes you got to fucking take care of your family before you get laid, and it doesn't always work out.
Now, was this Ozark? I know she had a mentally unstable brother in Ozark.
Laura Linney just plays characters with mentally unstable brothers. But like, okay, help me out. A foursome played for laughs, light infidelity, and this woman making a character choice that leaves her alone.
Where's Hugh Grant in all this?
What's that?
Where's Hugh Grant at?
Okay, so Hugh Grant, he uses his power to bang the fat chick. Again, I'm not calling her fat. She is not fat at all, but she was the butt of every fat joke in this movie.
Wow.
So he's the prime minister and she's like a secretary, and then they end up getting married. It's like, well, he's using his power. What the fuck do you think everybody does with power? They use it to get laid.
Fair.
So how come this movie is in picture? What's the news now? Why is it in the news now?
They say it's very problematic. It's very offensive. They said that there's not enough ethnic diversity. First of all, it's set in England. I'm not sure how ethnically diverse England is in the first place, right? It's ridiculously white. I think there was an equal amount of black people as there actually is in England, like one. So I don't know.
And is that's a problem? That all is a problem today on the December 7th, or
it's just a problem?
It wasn't a problem yesterday. Just today it is, and going forward it is.
Up till 6, we were putting up with it, but 7, that's too much. That's too. Yeah. We can't do that. We can't do that anymore.
Here's the fundamental problem in the United States. We've solved war, famine, disease, hunger. There's no crime against children in terms of guns. There's no problems here. So what we have to do now is find what's wrong with Love Actually and write articles about it in major publications, because we've solved everything else. Everyone's cool, right? You guys fine? Everything, we're all right.
I think the only thing mildly offensive is that I'm finding out Andrew Lincoln and Hugh Grant are British. I think that's about it.
You didn't know Hugh Grant was British?
I did not.
Have you ever heard him talk?
Sorry, I did.
Hugh Grant defines
Remember-
British. Everybody, you
Yeah.
kind of like when you want to choose somebody else, is that guy British? Yeah, because he talks like Hugh Grant. That's how you
That's
know.
right.
But
If England
Okay,
was a
but
When
person,
someone
it would
speaks
be
English,
Hugh
I say
Grant.
he's Hewin.
uh,
Remember that other movie that Hugh Grant made with the prostitute?
Uh,
No,
Pancake Jones.
That's just his life. That's not.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he stopped. He left Elizabeth Hurley at home and went and picked up a prostitute named Pancake Jones, I think it was, or something like that. And,
Pancake Jones.
and
This
they,
was
got
when
in
he was a
trouble.
heartthrob. This was a very dark time in Hollywood. Like for a long time, he was the most fuckable dude in Hollywood, and I just don't get. I don't see it. He's a little too British looking for me. You know,
Mm.
he doesn't look like Brad Pitt in Interview with a Vampire, who was gorgeous. Anyway, so that's Love Actually.
I thought the Four Weddings movie made him a pretty big star here.
I think he's fine as an actor. He just always plays Hugh Grant. He doesn't have a lot of range. He's always like
That
you
one
know
with
what I mean?
Julia Roberts was good, right? Where he owns the bookstore. And she's like a famous celebrity and he's like a stooge.
The perfect Hugh Grant movie.
Yeah.
An adorable stooge with a British accent who stutters. That's what he does.
He's the British version of Ed Helms. I got to tell you something. There's like a handful of celebrities, right? And nobody will see this, so I can say it, that just drive me insane. I'm going to tell you who they are. Seth Rogen drives me insane. I don't know what he's
he
doing.
laughs at everything he says. It's
Jonah
fucking
Hill drives me insane.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's lost 300 pounds. Doesn't matter to me. He still drives me insane.
Ed Helms.
What is that other? Ed Helms, yeah. Drive me insane. Every other month that him and Jennifer Garner do a movie for some holiday, and it's like, oh, the family's important.
Yeah, it's
Guys, please.
Amrinder, you got anybody that drives you? Do you hate anybody?
Tell us, please.
I don't know. Yesterday I was watching a little bit of the debate, and I thought Vivek guy was driving me pretty insane. But I don't know.
He's doing like Trump light. All Republicans now are playing this weird version of Trump.
No, he's not Trump light. Trump is Vivek light, I think. I mean,
he's going over. Okay.
He's a patent troll, right? Isn't he a patent troll?
One amongst many different qualities, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of his many charming qualities. All right. Well, can we talk about this beer? Because this really, oh boy, Robin. This is a good one. You picked a good one.
You did us proud.
I don't know anything about American beer, so you're gonna have to carry the story a little bit. But there is this beer company in America. It's called the Ultra Right Beer, and their latest marketing effort is a 2024 calendar titled "The Real Women of America." And I don't want to seem like I'm advocating for this, but I'm in no way right wing. But these guys seem to really know their customer base, and it kind of seems like they're profiting off of the exact opposite of whatever Bud Light did. So it's just a bit funny that like everything that Bud Light tried to run away from, these guys are just picking it up. And
they're really embracing it. So what they've done is they've gotten a lot of very traditional right-wing hot chicks, which I wasn't positive there were any, but I guess these are two. They're attractive women, and they're selling a calendar now.
You rounded them all up.
They got all 12.
Where's Laura Ingraham?
Somehow she didn't make the thing. I have great news. Every viewer of the Eric and Rodney show is going to get a Real Women of America calendar for 2024. So congratulations. Look for it in the mail.
Where's Candace Owens?
Somehow she didn't make it, but they did do a token African-American woman just so we could go, oh, they're all white. So I did notice that. I have a few issues with this. Serenity now. All right, so this is on the homepage. Conservatives will no longer complain about big corporations who use our money to indoctrinate our children with their woke garbage. We'll dump them. Keep in mind, the Bud Light can that everybody's upset about wasn't aimed at children. Get the fuck the Republican obsession with like children. They're going after the fucking children. There was nothing about the Bud Light can that was supposed to be aimed at children because it's a product for kids, the people that are 21 plus. So shut the fuck up. That wasn't aimed at children, you fucking lunatic. Now, I'll tell you, they have this problem with kids being exposed to men dressing as women, right? That's the worst thing that could possibly happen to kids, right? Isn't that killing more kids than anything else? No. I'll tell you what is fucking killing kids more than anything else, statistically speaking. I'm not a gun guy, Rodney. Help me out. What is the make of this gun? Is it the kid killer? Because it looks like the fucking gun that kills a lot of kids. So this guy's all upset that a kid might see a guy dressed as a chick on a fucking can, but he puts this chick in his calendar holding things that actually kill children. This is why Republicans are the stupidest thing on the fucking planet. Oh, the kids. Oh, the kids. Dude, come on.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you go back to the beer can for a second?
This one.
This is the new Bud Light campaign.
Well, it should be, but I'll tell you this. Okay, so so this guy made Fox News. They're celebrating him, right? He's a real American hero. They go, he's selling a ton of beer. Let me just run some numbers. He's done 1 million in sales. That's good. Oh my God, 1 million in sales. The average month, even with the downturn, Bud Light does 297 million in a month. So you're not, I know you're all up in arms and oh my God, we're taking America back. And isn't this great? 1 million in sales in totality versus 297 million a month for the big bad child killing Bud Light. Oh boy, what is going on in this country?
It always goes back to people can come up with a strategy, people can come up with a vision, or we can do this thing, but eventually it's the logistics that wins the battle for you. To sell these beer cans, you need to manufacture them, you need to distribute them, you need to pick the stuff back up and all that. Who does all that? Ultimately, there are some corporations that have sort of mastered it. Not only the messaging is one thing, you can drive off a quick value there, but then what about all the boring stuff? That's where the victories are made. And I think
it's clearly just a dumb gimmick to get press. So I get worked up about it because of the giant gaping holes in logic. But here's the thing. This guy's hopes and dreams is to someday be canned by a major manufacturer. Well, guess who that's going to be? Fucking InBev, right? Because they can everything. And that's owned by Bud Light. You're going to tell me when InBev comes knocking, not that they're going to, but if they did, this guy wouldn't go, absolutely, sir. Can my shit. Shut the fuck up. Oh, my God. God bless America.
I will say it's a nice looking can, though.
It's a nice looking can. It's a nice looking can.
It looks like a Bud Light can.
I may be liberal, but I'm down with chicks and
what I thought was actually a really good idea, and it sounds crazy, but I don't like Bud Light or not like them. I always thought it'd be a good idea when I saw that can with Dylan's face on it. I thought, you know what? That's a gangbuster idea. They ought to make it so you could put your own face on the cans. You know how much people would pay for that? You'd be like, come over, and I'm like, is that your face on the can?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I put my face.
I mean, that sounds like printing money to me. And I got the idea. Let me tell you where I got the idea from. I got the idea from you can order M&Ms with with stuff on it and pictures of people.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. If they could say that, hey, they're gonna sell 10,000 of these cans, not millions. Let's say 10,000. Right. I'll pay money. Just on something on M&Ms maybe. Yeah.
I just thought it was a good idea because people, I know enough people drink. They'd be like, they would love to have their picture on. I mean, you have to buy it, right? Like you know what I mean? People pay.
I was reluctant to pull this picture out because of how many children it's killed this year, but I think we all need to be exposed to a shitty marketing campaign. I mean, this is one thing. I know that that gun is the number one killer of children ages 0 to 18, but this is just egregious. We all agree that this is just a bridge.
This is the line. This is where we draw.
This is the line we have to draw in the sand. Not the thing that kills the children. No. This.
Who is that lady?
This is Dylan Mulvaney.
No, the other one, the other lady with the killers. Who are these people?
She's one of these 12. So good luck. She's definitely not Josie, the redheaded librarian. That much I know. Using contextual clues.
How much is the calendar? Do we know? It's free?
It is $24.95.
So $2. Wait, you said 24. So $2.50 are going to the Riley Gaines Center to protect women's sports from extreme left. I got to be honest with you. That sounds like the Michael Scott race. Remember, it's the Riley Gaines Center to protect women's sports from extreme left. You got to come up with an acronym. Come on, you lost me after the third line.
Woo. Okay. Well, we have one more story. You want to do GTA?
Yeah, I would love to. So I know not everyone's a big fan of video games, but despite that, you've probably heard of the huge gaming franchise called Grand Theft Auto. So it's one of the first open world experience games, and it's so iconic because I feel like the whole thing with GTA is that it allows you to let your intrusive thoughts win. So you basically do whatever you want. It's a true open world because like the AI is very smart, so it like really interacts with you. So this is about the trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. It just got released. It looks amazing. They actually mapped out the game to look exactly like Miami. So they said they even studied what people do in Miami, and they made the NPC AI kind of fit the actual experience. I'm really excited about this, but I don't agree with the article where it says like GTA 6 is going to revive gaming. I think gaming never really died.
Well, they say the sort of 2020 through 2022 gaming boomed, and it was because we had nothing to do but sit at home and play video games. But then they said recently, despite the success, there's been layoffs. 6,500 video game workers have been laid off despite the popularity of the whole fucking thing. So they're saying that they're hoping this will blow it up. The estimates is that when Grand Theft Auto drops in 2025, that immediately it's going to sell $3.5 billion worth of copies. 3.5 billion. Have you ever played any of the GTAs, Amrinder?
I played. Not the 6, of course. I don't know about the 6, not even the 5, but the one before that.
Yeah.
So
you ever pay a hooker back over with your car? And
I learned how to drive. I learned how to drive on that game.
I think we all did.
I learned how to commit crime on that game.
I want to fly a plane on that game.
Helicopters, the ins and outs of crime. I want to show the trailer because it is remarkable considering how much detail they put into real life in Miami. But I want to remind everybody where we started before we go there. So this is Pong. This is what people had to suffer through. Robin, I know you've never seen such a thing, but you would move these two paddles and hit a little tiny ball.
And you had a stick.
Yeah, and this was hours of entertainment. This was mind-blowing. And then we moved on to things like Cubert. I don't know if you've ever played this classic Cubert. You'd have to light up each of the squares before the little things killed you.
Yeah.
This was a Pitfall. Do you ever play Pitfall? This was a wildly aggravating game. Everything was meant to kill you.
So Pitfall kind of reminds me of the Donkey Kong.
Yes, it was Donkey Kong.
Very Donkey Kong.
Right. Trying to
supposed to be alligators.
Those yes.
They're crocodiles.
Alligators.
Crocodiles. They're crocodiles. God.
Wait, are you having a hard time identifying the animals? Which animals to the far left?
Yeah, I'm just saying it's impressive. I'm saying it's impressive how they made 10 pixels the imagery into a crocodile.
Dude, they made a fucking scorpion.
This is off our website.
All right, so this was very basic, but then we got here, which is goddamn I love this game.
Remember over in the corner when it was like icing?
Yes, icing. That's how I learned what icing.
You had the big guy.
Yeah, I always go. He was like, I go 4 fats because they can slap shot very.
They can
so
really
Robin, in
rock
this
it
game,
out.
you pick a medium guy, a skinny guy, or a fat guy, and you have to comprise your team of 4 players. It's tremendous. Anyway, let's watch the GTA thing. Hold on. If we had a producer on this show that could just pull it up. All right, watch this. It's gonna be great.
You know, the reason let's watch this.
Lucia, do you know why you're here? Bad luck, I guess.
There was a girl I knew. She said she cared about me. She tried to make my world the way she thought it should be. Yeah, we were desperate then to have each other apart. But love is a long road. Yeah, love is a long road.
Well, look who's back. The only way we're gonna get through this is by sticking together, being a team. Trust?
Trust.
Ah, it looks good.
That's incredible.
Very true to Florida nature.
The first time when I heard that the Halo's advertising budget surpassed every single movies that year.
Oh my god!
That's the time when I thought that the video game industry has totally arrived. There's no way to there's no way for the major motion pictures to compete with it, and that exactly is the sense that I get from this commercial.
Oh, yeah.
It's no longer just a driving. It's not about the skill. It's not about what you can do. It's about the entire experience. It's basically supposed to be in a movie in which you're present. I think that's what they're. Yeah. I'm surprised that they're not giving you that option. Kind of when you walk through the theme park and they take your picture and then you go buy it. That's kind of what it is. When you play this thing, then you can buy the thing and then sell it on YouTube or kind of stream it on YouTube.
I know it's unbelievable. The thing True about video
crazy.
games that has an advantage over movies is that movies usually have like a 2-month run in the theater. So all your marketing dollars have to be made in that 2-month span. I know that you can stream it later, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, video games, they're at 3.5 billion. That's a lot of fucking money for a video game. Luckily, my son asked for a PlayStation 5 for Christmas from Santa. Hopefully the elves are able, because part of that 3.5 billion is going to be mine. How the fuck is that a video game? That is crazy. It looks like from here to
That's
here.
really good. That's the best game I've seen. That's crazy.
I was thinking that at some point in time, when you go to the theater, you will be able to choose the ending of the movie. Like, there are enough people, enough of us have the cell phones with the app. So you say, yes, you want to go left, or you're on the movie plot to go right. So you're there and you make the movie different. So that way you can kind of go watch the same movie multiple times.
That's a good idea.
Interactive movie. Yeah.
That's a good idea. I think about these hyper-personalized experiences a lot, only because I equate it to a restaurant. When people go, can I get this on the side? Can you do that? Can you add this? My point is, if you're going to a great restaurant, you have a professionally trained chef who knows what the fuck he's doing. And on that plate is his art, and you should celebrate it the way that it is and not put your bullshit on it. So when I go to a movie that's a professional director with professional actors and a professional scriptwriter, I am going to trust that they know more about my entertainment. Because listen, if I'd watched Endgame, I wouldn't have made Iron Man die. I got emotional.
He died.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I spoil it? You know what I mean? I would choose him to live and be Iron Man forever, but he had to die because that's what the art demanded. So while I'm with you, I think that's where we're going. I don't think it's necessarily good. I think sometimes I need to be exposed to your genius as opposed to putting my layer of bullshit on it.
With all respect, I'm gonna have to cut this part of the show out when I show it to my kids, because they don't know that part yet. So no.
Well, listen, it's been. I gave you 3 years for a spoiler. Listen,
you got to cut it.
Yeah.
Eric, are you gonna let little Roman and Roxy play this game?
Here's what my parents did. They didn't give a fuck. They put us in front of a TV and were like, as long as we don't have to talk to you, do whatever. So me and my sister used to watch Nightmare on Elm Street 3 on a loop. And if that's Freddy Krueger, he would say bitch and fuck and stab people with his gloves made of knives. It turned out okay-ish. So yes, I don't care. I'll let my daughters fucking
think Edward Scissorhands, Robin.
Yeah,
think
killing teenage girls. Exactly.
Robin's going through his Johnny Depp 21 Jump Street phase.
Filipino Johnny Depp.
Yeah, next year will be the Viper Room, and when he really starts taking it to the next level.
When he gets a little fame and the drugs hit. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Listen, we went long, and I do want to talk about ClayHR. I think everybody does. Do you want to give us a little bio? Here, look, I did a screenshot of your website. It's very professional.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Do you want to give us a little bio? You don't have to start here, but the whole journey. Where are you from? How'd you get where you are? Give us the Iron Man.
Let's hear it.
All right. So basically, I started out purely as a technologist. I did my undergraduate, graduate studies all in computer science, did all the stuff in AI. Now AI is everywhere, but this back when I was doing this thing, this was kind of like not the buzzword. It was much before the ChatGPT days. This was around the early 2000s. So I did the CTO stuff for like a few companies. And then back around 9 or 10 years ago, I started out this company, ClayHR. Started out thinking about AI from a very, human resources perspective. And everybody else was like, why are you doing this? HR does not do AI. And, when I was talking to the analysts, they always look at, hey, you are doing so much stuff in AI. And I always wonder why the other companies are not. And the analysts tell me, yes, but they always ask us why you are doing so much AI in the HR. And now, of course, last year, ChatGPT hit, Gen AI is here. Yeah. So now it all makes sense. But my personal story was, I came from this purely from a computer science perspective, solving some of the big problems, some of the port congestion issues, some import screening issues, a lot of those things that I worked on prior to that. So it was a lot of fun. Really kind of like I could explain my stuff to my kids or to neighbors or somebody saying, oh, I worked on that. When you go to that port, you don't see any traffic. Well, I helped build a system.
We need you down here in New York.
Yes.
Immediately.
We went down there, but it's to buy something like that. There's always a lot of political. There's always a lot of
idiots.
Other things.
A lot of morons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of really do that.
You got me excited when you said there's no waiting.
Yeah, exactly. So in the ports that did implement the solution, they were very happy, and of course the ones that don't, there are other compelling issues that they kind of have to work through. But anyhow, coming to the ClayHR, I started out this company around 2014. It's been going great since. Really happy to be here, and just kind of talking to all the different. One of the best things I like about ClayHR, the customer base is global. So if you tell me that I can't go to Thailand, I'm like, oh, I can. I have to meet with a customer.
I have to. It's part of the job.
It's part of the job.
I have to leave now.
You know what's great about HR?
Yeah, go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say HR seems like a very stable industry to be in because humans are always going to do dumb shit. I know it's not all about reporting somebody photocopying their ass and sending it to their boss, but everyone, you know what I mean? Every company full of people is going to do dumb shit. So your industry is never going to go away. And that must be satisfying.
Yeah, more than that, I think that HR has really changed. For example, the example that you gave about people doing dumb things, that's there, but that's no longer considered the core part of HR. Nowadays, the big thing that they like to look at is, can we predict where our workforce is and where they need to be in 3 years when this new load of projects come and new load of work comes? Right. That's the biggest stuff. So now, for the first time, you're starting to see some CHROs, Chief Human Resources Officers, that are actually becoming CEOs. That never used to be the case. You would never have a CHRO become that. So I think now they start to see that, hey, CHROs can actually do the end business outcomes that our stakeholders need and drive over people to actually do that. I think that's the main game changer, which I'm really happy about.
Getting a seat at the table. Always got to get a seat.
I have a question. So I own a company and we do PEO comparisons, right? We're like brokers, PEO comparison service. So I know enough about HR to end up in the office. I guess my question is that what exactly does your software do? Because I'm always fascinated by software.
Yeah. So at the broad level, the HR does a few different things. You have to maintain kind of those very boring employee records, which is a pretty big thing. You have to kind of do the workforce management, make sure people are able to request their leaves and enter their time and all that. But then you have to do a whole lot of performance management and a whole lot of talent management, which is kind of helps into their talent pipeline, kind of see where those people are working, where those people are, where they need to go, what are the projects that you have for which you have gaps, get the right teams in. That all stuff is now all considered under HR. Long time ago, it used to be something.
So it's from hire to retire.
It's a hire to retire, right?
Okay.
And now, and another thing here nowadays, you see pretty big thing is a lot of companies are international. Maybe 30 years ago, when you said you were international, that means you had 2 people in Canada. It's not the case anymore.
Right.
Not the case anymore. Now we see companies that are like maybe 700-800 people with presence in 10 different countries. You know, they have 10 people there, 40 people there, and they're all doing their local payroll, which is perfectly fine. That's not what we get into. That's still like very local because there are a lot of compliance issues. And I know we were talking about Bitcoin and all that stuff, you know, prior to the show, but I mean, that may or may not never hit. But if that comes, then maybe there'll be some consolidation. But right now, all that stuff is very regulatory, very country driven. But all the other stuff, all your talent pipeline is very global. So you don't particularly care whether your guy is sitting in Boston or in Bangladesh to say, hey, I need this person to start doing this work from next year, and how do I get that person ready? That all is kind of like your own planning. And from a CHR's perspective, that's huge, and that's kind of what we provide to them.
So let me ask you another question. Actually, two questions. Sorry, you probably didn't realize it's going to be a question hour. What's your average size client or group?
We focus right on the mid market. Mid market is anywhere from 250 to 5,000. That's that's the market. So
now here's my second question. And I'll shut up. What do you find, right, that most people at that level are using? Because and let me say this. I find a lot of times when we work with companies that do PEO, a lot of times, not all the time, a lot of times we'll go into those companies, they have nothing in place. It's like the owner's mom does the HR and you're like, she seems like an awfully sweet lady, but you know.
It's still, and you're absolutely right. That's still 60% of the case. They're just not spending enough. So when they look at the system, they say, oh, I can do all this stuff. And they may go through a multi-month journey to implement on or roll out everything here. But then there are also plenty of other systems which are kind of using systems that were like really focused on less than 100 people companies, which are now trying to say, hey, you can use this system for going further, but you really can't. That's kind of really has one simple module that works in a one certain way. You can't really make it work for Denmark, and you can't really make it work for Nashville the same way. So it really, that's where 60% of people are not really using anything, or not really using anything beyond like spreadsheets and all that stuff.
Right.
Another 40% are
using mid markets aren't using. That's incredible.
Eric,
in the lower end,
we'll go into companies. We'll literally go into companies that have 50 people. I'm not talking about like Mickey Mouse operations. These are like real companies, right? Especially like startups. Oh my God, we went to a startup one time. They had 22 people. And again, I don't want to nerd out. No I-9s, no W-4s, nothing. They didn't even know the people's social security. I said, how are you paying them? He goes, we're writing checks. I said, what are you talking about? He's like, we write it. Susie Jones gets a check. I said, what about the FICA Fuda Suda? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And they had funding.
Yeah. So, right around the 200, 300, at a certain point, the reality hits them and they need something. So but at certain point, they graduate out of whatever system they're using. Like typically what happens is at a very low end, they might have a payroll system that kind of doubles as their HR system, but eventually they grow out of it.
So like a Gusto, say, right? Like a Gusto or
like a Gusto or like a Bamboo or something.
Okay.
But right around 60, 70, 80, they will, at 60, they have already outgrown Gusto or something like that. At around 100, they've already outgrown Bamboo. So namely, or any of those. And they might still use that for their payroll for a little bit longer, but eventually they're out. Then they go into something like an ADP for their payroll, and they come to something like us for their HR. At well beyond 1,000 people, then they really get to all of the executive modules that we have. Under that, they're kind of using some parts of it. They don't really use the entire ClayHR, the enterprise edition, but at some point they get to that and then they use it. And that's, I think, where they get the most value at. For that reason, we normally think of that size around is our sweet spot.
Yeah, because I always think, right, it goes like this in my mind. I think that when you first start out, you write checks, right? You do what you do. Maybe you join a PO. And then in my mind, once you get to say 250, 300, wherever it stops making sense, right? You leave the PEO, right? You go into ASO, say, for example. So you find somebody to do payroll, the benefits, all that stuff. And then they would link with you. The reason I like what you're doing is because it grows with them. What I find a lot of times is that, give an example, we'll take somebody that's outgrown, say, the PEO model, right? Just, it doesn't make sense. They have a huge, whatever the reason is. And then we move them to an ASO model. And then it's like, well, when they'll get to 500 people, it's like, well, they got to move again because these people don't, you know what I mean? You have to keep moving and moving. And I always thought to myself, why doesn't someone build a solution that grows with the company? And it sounds like that's exactly what you've done.
Exactly. And when we see the customers join us at 100, we have multiple customers at this stage who started with us like 6 years ago, started with 100 people. Now they're at 1,800. And they can still, they can still go strong. And now at this point, they're actually using many of our.
And there's no learning curve, right? They've been with you for so long. There's no learning curve. It's just, we have another tool.
We now want to launch this talent assessments. Right. Oh, just launch it. And they can kind of launch things.
That's very smart. Very smart.
This has been a great commercial for ClayHR. I got to tell you. This is, no, it's great. This is exactly. Don't apologize. This is exactly what this should be.
Yeah.
We've never quite gotten here today, but yeah, no, it's great. So, Rodney, you obviously have experience in this, so I do want you to keep asking questions. But just from a interest standpoint, this is about 8 years old, but you're pretty big. I saw on LinkedIn you're between you're in that 200 to 50 to 200 employee. Like you're growing, and this is working well. How did you grow so aggressively? Like, how do you get to these companies and convince them to get ClayHR?
Yeah, well, there are two parts to the question, and the first part I think I'll take more because I didn't really know the answer to that. I didn't really know myself, but I've been reading on like a lot of these people who said, hey, what makes the company grow? And I can't really pinpoint to what made ClayHR grow so well. But when I look at these things here, what the other people say, I can see that we check one key box here, that the company is, of course, very, we're a tech company. And I had a pretty good tech background. So when I need to build something, my developers can't really tell me, no, this is what it is. This is what it is. And this is just this much work. And if you're really doing too much work, you don't really need to. This is all we are asking for. So that does help me. So even though, at a certain point, you're a CEO and you're kind of just like spending your more time on the airplane, than really in front of the computer. But still, you can still talk to them and say, hey, this customer is doing this way. And I think this is what we need to get done. And I think this is all we should be looking at. And the developers can actually be very, very, very effective. I think that's one big thing that we see, that we are ultimately a tech company. We check that box. And I think that has been the reason. Now,
and that's your focus.
That's our focus. And how we convince the customers to use it. Nowadays, we are very, very, very tech driven. simply show them the product. We'll say, this is what it is. Is this going to help you? Is it going to help you? And if it's not going to help you, just don't bother. Don't waste your time. Don't waste our time. Come back to us 4 months later, because many times they're either not using anything and they have to go back, build consensus, saying, hey, like Rodney was saying, this is too much. We can't really be doing it. Or they're using something which is kind of working out for them so far. Maybe they're only 100 people. We say, hey, eventually you'll have another office, another this, another that, which no longer works for you. Come talk to us then. And, that's how. So the software kind of sells like a technology plate, sells by itself. You give it to them. You say, hey, this is what it is. You want to look at it. It's our demo sandbox. But if you want it, this can be yours.
It's like a car, right? I used to live next door to this guy, and he sold a lot of cars, and I was a kid, so he would couple up in a Corvette or Porsche or whatever it was, and I was like, oh my God, they were never his, but he would say to me all the time, I was like, how do you sell these cars? And he would like, let them drive it.
Let them drive it, exactly. And in our case, we don't even need to make them buy insurance for driving it. That's right.
No dealer plates.
You don't need no paperwork, none of it. Yeah. You know what I find too? I'll ask you is I find, and I think you'll agree with me on this, that a lot of companies, right? Obviously, I always say this, and it's funny, but every company, regardless of where they are now, started as a startup, right? Everybody, Apple, us, you, Eric, everybody, right? What I always wonder though is that no one ever really seems to focus. I mean, there's like Gusto and there's like the POs and stuff, right? But again, I might get crucified for this, but the POs don't really start making sense in my mind unless you're really just looking for health insurance until you have at least 7, 10 plus people, right? Can you use it? Absolutely. But I always wondered why there's so little competition, right? In the space. Like if you look at payroll, there's like 4 payroll providers. If you look at, HR for people, there's Gusto, do it yourself, or there's just there's no solutions. And then I find when you get to the level where you're at, right, there's a bunch of solutions, but it's like we only focus on 250 to 500, or we only do 501 to, and it's like nobody, like, why don't you just build a system where everybody can use it, right? When you get to 100, it just, I don't understand that thinking. Like, what's the problem, right?
Yeah, we don't know. For example, things like Workday, they'll typically have 1,000 people minimum, or high implementation fees. So companies that are at 250 or 100 people, they can't really use it.
Yeah, nobody's going to pay $200,000 to go to another system when they have 200. It doesn't make sense. It's foolishness.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
So nowadays, that was one of the major things that I think we solved for the customers, was that we basically said, hey, your implementation cost is bare bones, it's minimal, and the time to launch is minimal, and you can launch with these 3 things that you need today. You don't need to implement the entire system until you're really ready for it. So that way, the customers who are at 100 people, they can really go live today. They don't need to wait for, they can test drive. They can see, hey, this is exactly what I need. Go forward from there and really just get going from, they don't need to wait, and they don't need to pay a lot of money because they're at 100 people. At a 100 people company, you have different finance dynamics than you have at 1,000 people. So you got to kind of accept,
This sounds like a pretty easy sell. Can you give us 3 applications? Are you looking for any? Are you looking for some help? You'd hire us, go sell your stuff.
We can give you that, but
you just email the video.
Sorry, this is the greatest commercial of all time.
You were mentioning about the very small things here. One company that did very, very well, we also compete against them, but we also partner with them wherever it's needed, is Expensify.
Yeah.
They did do that part where you can use Expensify if you have 5 people. You can use that if they're a large company. Now, many times the customers come to us if they're using it just because not because there's anything wrong with that, but they just say, hey, we already have ClayHR. You do expenses. Can we do it? And we say, okay, sure. But then in that case, it's not, they're just kind of trying to consolidate more than anything else. Yeah. But Expensify did do that part well, where their onboarding was very quick, very easy, and people could get started when they were little, but they could kind of keep using it when they were. Somehow the HR didn't quite do that, and I think that was good. And I
have another question for you too, and just not to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious. I always ask people this in our industry. Have you seen Rippling's demo?
I have.
Were you blown away?
Not quite, because we're in the industry, so we kind of see it quite a bit.
Sure.
So we, for example, in terms of the depth, we are like night and day in terms of the depth. What Rippling has done very, very well in a lot of these companies, which are very heavily growth and kind of VC driven, they kind of go very broad very quickly. They have to go everywhere. They normally don't have the function depth. And when a customer walks in the door and they say, hey, this is what we are looking at, we're comparing you with this and this and that, we kind of pull up for each of them. If they're looking at rippling, we'll show them exactly where the depth is missing. So we'll say, okay, if you want to be able to do these things, you're not going to be able to do that there. You are going to be able to do that here. Now, if that's not important to you, that's fine. And it does happen sometimes that the company might have grown, but it's all growing in a very homogeneous way. So everything is all here. You have all your entire workforce in Alabama, and it could happen, right? But
Sure.
But if we tell them, if you're going to be able to vary these things, this is where ClayHR can work, and the other solutions won't. So that way they can be educated about it. They can say, yes, this use case is important to me. So now they can understand. So that's basically the difference. The difference doesn't really come in terms of the broad module level parity. Everybody can say, oh, we do performance reviews. Yes, but can you do this?
Right.
Can you do this part here? And that's where they fail.
That makes sense.
Where are you from originally? It sounds like Nebraska. Is that the accent?
That's right. That's right. So I grew up in India, and I came to the DC area around 1998. So which tells me when I was 4, I think. So
I saw that you live. One of the companies was in Fairfax. I lived in Fairfax, Virginia, for 1 year.
Oh, you did? Whereabouts?
My father is in the Army, or was in the Army. So I went. I don't know. I went to Cherry Run Elementary School. I was in 4th grade. I don't remember. But my parents live in Alexandria now. If you want to go hang out.
Yeah, so Alexandria is a really cool part of town. I mean, when
it is cool.
Old Town, love it.
Yeah, Alexandria Old Town is awesome, and both at this time and now. Well, 20 years ago that didn't used to be the case, but now right across the street is the National Harbor.
Oh yeah,
right
every time I go, we go to National Harbor. Yeah, I was on last time in National Harbor. Me and my brother were on mushrooms, and if you have not been on National Harbor on mushrooms, I highly recommend it. It's a delight. Can I ask you?
You heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Oh, here we go. Look at that, Mount Vernon. Yes, my parents live on Mount Vernon property. So if you want to go see where George Washington kept all his
I'm going to see them tonight.
Oh, very good. So you're gonna love it, the Mount Vernon. Are there any cultural differences between India and the United States? No, right? We're the same in many ways, right? It's just
they're like so many more similarities and differences, but many times I'll talk to some of the other expats, and people will say, hey, do you, for example, nobody will say now when you go to India, oh, there's more conservative. I was like, no, it's not. You're comparing, what you're saying is that India was more conservative in the 80s when you were growing up. You go there now, and then they're kind of shocked, and I'm like, you just shocked because now you're going there. So it's like a lot of things are just not, countries change very quickly, and things have changed in India very, very, very quickly. So it's not a whole lot of, nowadays just another place. So I think it's
I think a lot of places are just kind of another place, right? The food's different. The people
Robin is from India.
Robin was conceived in India, or was birthed in India.
Explain, Robin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was conceived there. I lived there for about a decade. Great food, great people.
He only lived there a decade, so he barely knew the place.
So you just ate the food, so you didn't really have time to do anything else. So
yeah, and I was around 10 years. Kids.
That's what I'm saying. So he's like, he always says, I'm not from India. If I live somewhere for 10 years,
because it's a bit different when you're
Robin.
My exposure is different. I was always in the American school, so I was never really inside the culture. I was with the other expat kids. So
we've been doing this, I think, for almost 8 months. And I remember one time I said you were Indian and you yelled at me, and I was like, oh, fucking
he
sensitive.
Went crazy on us. He went crazy on yeah.
10 years
a decade there. That's like somebody being like, I lived in New York for 10 years, barely know the place.
Yeah. 10 years.
What are you talking about?
Might I point out, 0 to 10 are your formative years. That's kind of where you're from.
That's where
I remember half of it.
Where were you on drugs?
Not to mention 10 years is like half of your life. Okay, 10 years for me is a quarter.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, right? Half of his life he's lived there. And he's like, nah, I barely know her.
Wait a second. Amrinder, when did you move to the United States when you were what?
No, I was just kidding about that. I was saying I moved here in 1998. But
how long did you live in India?
I was 76 born, so I'm about 22. I was 22 when I moved here.
Okay, so you're twice as Indian as Robin, but that's still, I think, significant, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Robin.
All right.
I didn't live all that entire time in India, but yes, I moved here. Anyhow, I was going to say that at GW, so I teach these AI classes at GW.
Oh, yeah, I have that here. Yes, you're a professor at George Washington.
I'm sorry, I got off on the questions.
Yeah. On GW, one of the things that I see is like, for example, a lot of the people who live out there in Fairfax, like I know, like your parents and other folks, like they don't often go to the DC. I have to go there once or twice a week at the minimum. So just going to that area and just like Alexandria, just kind of driving by those places, like, like you have to kind of walk through the Lincoln Memorial and, kind of, it's just amazing. I can't really walk. You have to kind of drive right by the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
These are just amazing places, and you never kind of really, get used to it. You're like, oh, it's pretty cool.
I don't want to bring the show down, but I went down a few months ago to go see a Led Zeppelin tribute band in DC with my parents and my brother, the one that I did.
That sounds like a big time.
Big time. So we got drunk at the thing. We met some friends. They got us high. We were smoking weed in a very old theater in downtown Washington, D.C. It was amazing. And then at midnight, we were like, we should go to the memorials. So we went to the memorials. One of my brothers dropped my mother on her head because they tried to do the Dirty Dancing scene, and he was too drunk to hold her. So she's bleeding. But we break off in the national monuments, and I went to the Korean War one, and they've recently done what the Vietnam Memorial has done, which is do all the names. And if you're drunk and it's midnight and you don't get teared up reading how many fucking people died in these wars, then there's something fundamentally wrong with you in every American. And then listen, I'm not xenophobic. I'm not, but if you have to go see how many fucking people died in these wars and to begin to understand the sacrifice.
The Vietnam Memorial is just, and by the way, Eric, I think I saw you there. I was the guy who was yelling at you. So that,
I remember you. I remember you. I'm so sorry. I had a lot to drink.
Their first meeting.
75 IPAs in. I just.
But when you just walk by the Vietnam War, the wall, and you kind of, there's this concept of elegance in mathematics. Like, when you walk by that elegant wall, and you read the names of people who you have no ties to, other than the fact that there's just names on the wall.
Yes.
And you don't really tear up. I mean, it's
something. You're right. And again, I don't want to break off a piece of victimhood here. I don't know. And I know no one who died in Vietnam. I'm unaffected by all these wars in totality.
Yeah.
But it is affecting on a way that I've never experienced. And I think everybody should.
Yeah. You just read the name and you can kind of imagine there was a person, we don't know, it was an 18-year-old kid or we don't know, but
not only the kid, but their parents, their brothers, the wives they never married, or what, like there's the butterfly effect of a single death is unbelievable. And then you look at these walls in these memorials and it's just heartbreaking. Anyway, that was for a comedy show. This ended on a very sour note. Let's real quick. We're over the time limit. Do you want to pimp out ClayHR and then we'll log off? So we've done our time.
No. I mean, ultimately you're right. It's a comedy show. Like there are a lot of other comedy shows in DC as well. So if you gotta come to the DC area,
head on down to the Capitol. It's hilarious.
As for Joey B, tell him Joey B sent you. I tell him if you want the Hunter Biden special.
Chuckles, they call him. All right. ClayHR.com for all your HR needs. Is that what it is?
There you go. Yeah, just go to ClayHR.com. If you're in the area, you want to visit us, we're right by the Dallas airport. So 5 minutes from the airport, we'll pick you up, we'll drop you off, do whatever, get your limo service. And, really just come check us out. It's a good software. A lot of companies that use it, they have great things to say for it. We're in many, many, many different countries, languages. So really just go check it out.
Beautiful. Thanks, man. You were awesome. What a great guest. Do me a favor, stick around in the green room. We have to log off because they're going to kick us off. But we will be back tomorrow, America. Have a lovely Thursday evening. Goodbye. Enjoy Illinois.